After 11 hours in custody, Andrew Mountbatten-Windsor humiliated. Any effort to avoid being snapped in the backseat of this car failing spectacularly. The end of a long day when his life further and very rapidly unravelled.
Hello, I'm Linton Besser. Welcome to Media Watch. And first tonight, we're off to Old Blighty, where last Thursday the King's brother was briefly held at His Majesty's pleasure, photographed, swabbed, fingerprinted, to the delight of the press.
Andrew arrested.
Former Prince held for hours on suspicion of misconduct in public office.
The first senior royal arrested in 379 years sent the Red Tops into an orgy of News Inc.
Downfall.
We can see you sneaking out.
Now he's sweating.
Full story, pages 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 and 12.
What was on 10 and 11? The bombshell arrest was a gift from the gods for one man with a camera. The story, and yes, that photo, teleported everywhere almost instantly. The world's great news organs cranking out what was surely one of the world's great moments of schadenfreude. Andrew Mountbatten-Windsor, 8th in line to the throne, was arrested on suspicion of misconduct in public office, having apparently shared with Jeffrey Epstein confidential reports from his time as a trade envoy. But Andrew's long and sordid downfall in rapid acceleration since the publication of this photo, embracing a very young Virginia Giuffre, has also been a happy preoccupation of Australian newspapers, which last week were not backward in coming forward.
Busted!
Disgraced ex-prince facing treason charges.
Arrest of Andrew.
The royal reckoning.
The print editions of the Sydney Morning Herald and The Age missed the story entirely. Both newsrooms, no doubt, cursing the early deadlines imposed by the bean counters upstairs. While Murdoch's capital city tabloids in Sydney, Brisbane and Adelaide raced the clock to get the biggest story in the world into prime position on newsstands.
Andrew arrested!
And what of the newspaper that boasts the largest print readership in the country, the mighty Herald Sun?
Right here.
Right now.
Supercharging our smart state.
Oh dear. The Hun bumping Andrew to the corner of the page, thanks to a pre-booked 12-page so-called special series dubbed Future Victoria, which included such earth-shattering Melbourne news as suburbs for a healthy life, a contest of ideas, and the 26 smart minds inspiring Victoria. The feel-good wraparound about the future of our southern state was, of course, a diamond created not by the pressure to land a scoop, but by the pressure to stay afloat, as straplines like this become ever more common.
Proudly supported by
Melbourne Airport.
Transurban.
NBN.
Crown.
Of course, the Hun pointed us to this, buried 7 pages in, past all those very lovely and very sponsored stories, a second front page where Andrew's disgrace was given its proper place. But the sad reality is the Hun, like its News Corp stablemates, has become all too used to selling its cover to the commercial imperative, most recently last December, in ways we used to only see in small suburban papers and street press. Call us old-fashioned, but we remember a time when there was really no confusion at all over what was and what wasn't the front page of the paper, and when that most precious real estate was dedicated to the news of the day. We get the need for revenue, of course, but this slippery practice is only hurrying our once great printed newspapers into an early grave. And now to the leader of the not-so-new force in Australian politics.
And joining me now is One Nation leader Pauline Hanson. Pauline.
Nothing to do with privacy. It's what's the government policy? Are you going to say?
Is Pauline talking to us there? Pauline, have you got us? Not sure what's happening there.
There are not a few Australians who aren't sure what's happening either. Not since some 5 weeks ago, Pauline Hanson's One Nation eclipsed the coalition in the polls to become the second most popular political movement in the country after Labor, cleaving all the while to a rather splendid and generous view of the world that has changed little in 30 years.
Well, I'm sorry. How can you tell me there are good Muslims? If jihad is ever called, and people must understand this, go and research, go and understand about this, and the ones that will suffer, as those Jews did on that you know, when they were murdered and slaughtered.
Pauline,
and that's what we've got to realise could happen.
Sky News' Sherry Markson did attempt to force a sanity pill upon her guest.
there are a lot of moderate Muslims in Australia who are, as you put it, good Muslims.
Correct. I demand that.
And offered one to her audience too.
I don't support what Pauline Hanson just said. Of course, I believe the vast majority of Australian Muslims do agree with our values.
36 hours later, Hanson told the ABC she was sorry, not sorry.
If I've offended anyone out there that doesn't believe in Sharia law or multiple marriages or wants to bring the ISIS brides in, or people from Gaza who believes in the caliphate and all the rest of it, then I apologise to you for my comment. But in general, that's what they want, a world caliphate. And I'm not going to apologise for the fact is I will have my say now before it's too late.
Having her say has never been an issue for the one-time peddler of fish and chips from Ipswich, who, after decades in the public eye, is now one of our most enduring politicians, and one whom the media has always struggled to get a handle on.
Are you xenophobic?
Please explain.
Over the decades, Pauline Hanson has capitalised on this outsider status, all while making clear to her supporters just who is us and who is them, in a long campaign of, what else to call it, bigotry, which has evolved only insofar as which people she prefers to pillory.
I believe we are in danger of being swamped by Asians. Now we are in danger of being swamped by Muslims.
Featuring delightful reruns of old and rather predictable stunts. Pauline Hanson, it might be worth remembering, has had a colourful career, from fearing for her life.
Fellow Australians, if you are seeing me now, it means I have been murdered.
To having 11 weeks of it stolen by a miscarriage of justice, jailed for electoral fraud, only to be later acquitted. And perhaps shaped by this very turbulence, Pauline Hanson has learned how to avoid the tough questions.
There's question marks hanging over funding that you've received over the years. What has happened to this money?
Look, Laura, you can go and do your interview because this is just going over and over questions.
These are things that people want to know about.
Thanks to the splintering of the coalition and the shattering of the Liberal Party's sense of mission, One Nation is now sitting pretty, bolstered by a high-profile defection and a Trumpian trade wind at its back. But with this newfound popularity comes greater responsibilities, not just for One Nation, but for the media watching on. The former Sydney Morning Herald reporter who documented Hanson's early political career urged the press to ignite the blowtorch.
Pauline Hanson is unchanged. She has no grasp of policy and cannot cope with actual scrutiny. It's time for brave press gallery journos to engage with her and step up on policy questions.
Long-time political observer Barry Cassidy says Hanson's rhetoric should be more readily contested.
Sometimes the media think claims are so self-evidently ridiculous and wrong that they don't need correction. That can't be the mindset. Falsehoods need to be corrected at the time and in subsequent reporting.
The media has, from time to time, risen to the occasion, including this notable moment from Sky News commentator Chris Kenny.
Where are your policies for government?
Why can't we? They're all up on the website, Chris. All up on the website. Go and have a look at policies.
What is my point? If you're going to portray yourself as a party of government, you need more of that detail out there. But it's no good getting defensive about me asking some questions about this policy detail. There's just going to be a lot more of this in the next 2 years. That comes with the territory of polling at 26%.
A chapeau also to Seven's Laura Turner, who pressed One Nation's leader on immigration.
Questioned on Victorian multiculturalism, Pauline sees red.
Why do you have to bury your head in the sand?
I don't think we do, but still being a group,
Laura,
hundreds of people at the station.
All right, thank you.
But there have also been moments when Hanson's claims have gone unchallenged.
About 20% of our water in Australia is actually foreign-owned. Should never have happened.
Pauline's claim was wrong, off by almost 6 times the volume of Sydney Harbour. But how could 10's host have known that in the moment, as his editor explained to Media Watch?
Fact-checking during interviews is very challenging, especially when the subject quotes obscure stats or facts, the kind that are outside the area you'd normally prepare or research for. Best efforts are made to verify information live on air.
Then there was this Hanson factoid spouted during a live interview about migration into Britain.
The main thing that's happened in England is they're angry with the mass migration, which in the last year they've had nearly 200,000 illegals enter the country.
In fact, it's less than a quarter of that amount, but again, 3AW could not really have been armed for the live rebuttal. 10 days ago, Pauline Hanson was drawn into a local Queensland debate about abortion.
The abortion issue is very important to a lot of Australians, and I've actually had my concerns about it greatly.
Her remarks written up very diligently in the Brisbane Times.
The abortion issue is very important to a lot of Australians, and I've actually had my concerns about it greatly.
Hanson told reporters.
But was that all she said?
When you can have an abortion up to the day before the birth of the child, it is great concern to a lot of Australians, and especially to see those children are still alive after an abortion and left to die without any help or assistance. What have we come to in this country?
The Brisbane Times omitted Hanson's inflammatory distortion, not to make her contribution more palatable, we're told, but because the reporter was focused on a local Queensland angle. But the outlet's boss did tell us.
As a rule, though, it's appropriate that a party leader who now outstrips the coalition in the polls is questioned on any public statement.
Having watched more than a decade of Donald Trump and Nigel Farage profit handsomely from spouting double talk overseas, surely our press pack here knows what's at stake if it fails to hold a resurgent One Nation to account for the fabrications and fallacies it has so successfully weaponised in years past and likely hopes to again. And finally, it's a wrap. The Cortina Games arrived to their wonderful wintry conclusion this morning.
The 2026 Winter Olympic Games has now finished after a spectacular closing ceremony in Verona.
Particularly spectacular for Australia's biggest media company, Nine Entertainment, which, having agreed a $300 million deal for the rights to 5 Olympic Games, from Paris 2024 to Brisbane 2032, no doubt banked some much-needed ad dollars, while subjecting its presenters to the many miseries of Italy, like the local cuisine.
It tastes as delicious as it looks.
Rival networks, meanwhile, barred from showing more than a few minutes of the Games, were not sad at all at being left behind.
Now you can see we have been transported to the Italian Alps just magically. What a beautiful... Maybe we should keep that backdrop.
Yeah, I like
That's
it.
a great caption.
It's almost like we're there, except we're absolutely not.
And not at all driven mad in the pursuit of something, anything, to fill the gap.
Go, 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 go! Yes! Welcome back to the Sunrise Sliding Centre. We have gold for Australia. Unbelievable night. Hang on a sec. There we go, that's better.
Back on 9, it was all gusto and grappa, for some more than others.
Morning, Danica.
Carl, I don't know how to respond to that one, but literally... The price of coffee over here is actually fine.
Come again?
Anyway, let's get into today's sport because there is plenty happening back home. Defender Lockie Ash is championing he's championing his entire team as the AFL team crack and fight the wrongs of last year.
Danica?
That we've got so many athletes who are willing to compete as well after her as well. She is just one of those athletes that you keep in their mind and you just look at them and go, what an inspiration.
Now, I know what you're thinking, but you've got it wrong. The poor woman was just cold.
The cold weather is a thing, right? I remember being in Washington, D.C. a few years ago, and there's such a cold wind, you can't actually move your lips.
Yeah,
it's like,
it freezes.
Strangely, though, the next day, she was coping much better with the alpine climate.
I just want to take a moment, if that's okay, just to apologise. I'm okay, probably just a little bit embarrassed. I shouldn't have had a drink, and not having had dinner probably didn't help as well.
Don't worry, Danica, no one noticed a thing. And for those who might have forgotten, there's very good reason for Carl's excellent knowledge of the effects of hypothermia.
Hello and welcome to you and a special edition of the Logies. It is 5:30, it is bright and it is very early.
It's basically not long after the night before.
And when I looked at it,
I really was drunk. You know, I certainly looked and sounded drunk, which meant I probably was still.
Probably, yes. And that's all from us tonight. Be sure to check us out on ABC iView as well as YouTube and Facebook. You can find full statements on our website, and don't forget to send us your tips. I'll see you next week.